When I first saw the Boulder Venture Green Star in titanium, I thought, wow, check out the colors of that watch. Check out the different colors of green, plus that titanium gray, and how well they all work together. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James. You're watching me. And I'm talking about watches. And today I'm talking about a titanium watch from Boulder, the Venture Green Star. This is a watch that has been loaned to me, loaned to the channel by Boulder. It is not a sponsored video. However, I'm so thankful to have had this watch loaned to me so I can get some hands-on experience with it. If you're interested in this watch, I'm going to leave a link directly to the Boulder website below. And if you do want to buy one of these watches, it costs you $449 US. And I do want to talk about that price a little bit more, but I'll do that at the end of the video. Now, being a loaned watch, this is not as in-depth a review as I normally do, because if it's a loaned watch, I want to look after it. I don't want to wear it too much. I don't want to damage a watch that has been lent to me. So keep that in mind when I do my review of this one. I'm just doing it more from a hands-on experience rather than an everyday on-wrist experience. But for now, let's flip the camera and let's check out this Venture Green Star in more detail. Now, on paper, this Boulder Venture Green in titanium has quite a bit to offer. Obviously, it's a titanium watch with a 38mm case. Contains an NH35 movement. It has 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal, and a 30-day return plus a 30-month warranty, which I think is pretty good. You also get a few bits and pieces like a polishing cloth, the warranty cards and things. And inside here, you actually get a really cool sort of travel case as well, which is going to keep the watch safe. And yeah, this 30-30 warranty is really good. So if you get the watch and you don't like it, obviously as long as you don't wear it or sort of damage it in any way, you can return it within 30 days, but then it comes with a 30-month warranty. But I want to start by showing you something that really stands out to me about this watch. In fact, it's my favorite feature, and it is the use of colors. Because if you check out the dial there, it's got this sort of like a lime green, which is kind of cool. Bezel, obviously, I think it's an aluminium insert, but we have a dark green section, and then there's almost slightly iridescent, sort of slightly khaki green. We got a touch of green on that crown there. We got a dark green on that minute hand. We got a little bit of a green on the tip of that hand there, on the second hand. We then got like an off green, slightly yellow use of lume. So we've got this green accents on green, on green, on green with a bit of green, and it just looks really good because then it's offset by this titanium grey case and bracelet. And I think those use of colours looks absolutely fantastic. And I think this watch, this beautiful looking green on green on green watch, could be worn by almost any wrist size because of these dimensions. It has a case diameter of 38mm, but the bezel sticks out a tiny bit, making it 38.5, making it easy to grab onto that bezel. The width of the watch is 12.8mm. The lug to lug is a very tight and compact 44mm. The lug width is 20mm. And the weight of the watch, obviously being titanium, you're expecting it not to be too heavy. It is 92 grams. And when you actually then look at the watch, especially when you look at it at night, you'll see that it just glows. Check out this lume. The lume on this watch is fantastic. It is really cool to see. But coming back to that dial, I just want to show you that everything that is on the dial is printed. We've got the Boulder logo there, which is also in like a dark green, Venture automatic 200 meters, being a 200 meter water resistant watch. We've got the railway track sort of minute, second and sub-second sort of track in there, which looks really nice, and it just offsets everything. I keep talking about the colors about this watch, and I'm probably going to keep talking about the colors because it's my favorite aspect of this watch. And I really like the shape of the hands too. The real sword shape hands work really well. The bezel that is on it is actually really nice aluminium, or at least it looks aluminium to me, and I like aluminium. I think it looks the best. And being a titanium watch, normally bezel action isn't always fantastic, but on this one, it feels fantastic. I'm really, really happy with that bezel action. 120 click unidirectional. Very nice. Offset by that really nice flat piece of sapphire crystal. There must be some anti-reflective properties there, because really even when you get the light right on it, you can see straight through that sapphire crystal. So that's good to see. It's also good to see that that bezel lines up really nicely straight up on that 12, which is nice. You'll see there's a nice grip on the edge there, and you'll see that the color of that titanium, this sort of matte titanium finish, almost like a bead blasted type finish, is on the entire watch, on the bracelet, on the case, underneath the case, on the clasp, and on the side of that bezel as well. So you'll see there's kind of a nice sort of finishing. I really like the color of titanium. I'm probably not the biggest fan of titanium in totality because I prefer the weight and probably the look of the steel. However, I really like the feel of this titanium coating or this titanium feel, and I think that dark grey does look very cool. You can see they're drilled end lugs. We've got an unguarded crown here with the Boulder logo. As I mentioned, there's a dark green stripe on there, which I think is very cool. It really sort of brings that into the sort of watch, sort of links it all together. Really nice knurling there. It is screw down. Now this one contains the NH38, the no date Seiko movement. On the website, however, it says NH35, and I was thinking, oh, that's disappointing. It's going to have a ghost position, but oop, no ghost position. So it's actually got the NH38. And as you can see, the Seiko movement also has hacking. And although I've had many of these movements on the time grapher, I do find it interesting to see what each one of them is like, so I get a good feel of these movements in general. The Seikos generally run fairly well for me, so let's see how this one is performing on the time grapher. So as you can see, it's running at 21,600 vibrations per hour. A little bit of beat error, but it's under 1, so that's okay. Preferably 0, but anything under 1 is generally pretty good. Amplitude is perfectly fine there, and running just under 0. So I'm actually pretty happy with those figures. I've certainly, sort of when I've been wearing this watch a little bit, although it's alone, I haven't been wearing a huge amount, I've been finding that it's running really nice day to day. Looking a little bit closer at the bracelet, got a really cool sort of look to it. Nice sort of feel to it, so nice sort of thickness, very lightweight, obviously being titanium, very soft in hand, no stickiness whatsoever, so that's good. Worth being aware that these are female end links, and it sort of cuts down quite quickly with these solid lugs as well, and because it's got a short lug to lug and those downturn, really a good one for smaller wrists or medium wrists as well. It is a screw pins, but beware, those screws are the smallest screws I've ever experienced. It was more fiddly sizing this bracelet than I have had with many other watches. It wasn't impossible, it was just a little bit more time consuming, so worth keeping in mind. The clasp, however, is probably my least favorite thing about this watch. It's got the very cool sort of Boulder sort of jagged thing there, which I like. Boulder sort of a logo there, and it does have a safety catch, which I do like. But when you open it up, it feels a little bit underwhelming, let me just say. Pressed clasp. I'm not sure if it's titanium, and maybe that's why it's feeling a bit weird, but it just doesn't have the best sort of feel to it. It feels a little bit sticky, and it's okay, but not my favorite part of it. 3 levels of micro adjust, however, and when you do open it up, I have to admit, once it's open, it's fine, and once it's on wrist, it's fine. I just probably don't absolutely love it. The back of the case is kind of cool. It's fairly simple. It's got a bit of a logo thing on there. I quite like that. But the thing about this watch is not so much the watch in your hand, it's when you have it on wrist that you really notice how nice it is. Because yes, I might not like that clasp very much, but once it's on wrist, that idea or that thought completely disappears because it just feels super comfortable, super light, super nice on wrist. As you can see, sits down nicely, sits easily on my 6 3/4 around about 17 centimeter wrists. Definitely a good one for a slightly smaller wrist or a medium wrist like me. But you could definitely get away with a bigger wrist as well because that could easily work its way out. Really quite nice. Such a comfortable watch on wrist. Partly because of that lightness to it, that sort of titanium feel, but because it has this really smooth sort of finish, which I know some titanium watches do have, it just feels super comfortable on wrist. What do I like about this watch? What don't I like about it? And what would I change? Well, the thing I like the most about it is the use of color and how it just looks. Those different types of green all together, linking the watch together, and then this really cool titanium gray just looks absolutely fantastic. However, the clasp is not my favorite. I don't think it suits the watch perfectly. I think I'd prefer a much sort of more simple, just maybe a double pusher one without the safety thing. Milled as well would also be quite nice. The tiny screws are annoying. However, once you size it up, then it's right, and then you don't need to worry about that. And to me, I think I still would prefer it in steel. I just have a thing for steel. I like it. So that's my own personal preference. Nothing against this watch. So the only thing I really would though actually change about this one, really to really improve it, is just to replace that clasp. When I first saw the price of $449 USD for a titanium watch that looks this good from a micro brand, I thought, you know what, that's actually a reasonable price. When I got hands-on with it, I then sort of realized that yes, I'm not a big titanium fan. I can appreciate the color, I can appreciate that it's a little bit lighter, but it's probably not for me. However, I do seem to realise that it is a nice watch from a good company and that price range feels okay. If you are going to buy another watch in this price range, there are quite a few competitions, however, from different companies, from different micro brands, from AliExpress and from mainstream companies. So you are going to have to shop around to see whether this is the right watch for you. All I can tell you right now is that it's a really nice watch. It's been put together really well, and I do love how all those colors go together. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should check out these ones next.